Good morning, everyone, and welcome to a BASE Initiative collaboration with Cemerlang and Get There webinar. I'm your host, Harvynna, and I hope each and every one of you will have a thing or two to take back after this talk today. To start off, ladies and gentlemen, to those of you who don't already know, BASE Initiative is a student-led project providing workshops to aid post-SPM students in applications for their pre-university scholarships. Cemerlang and Get There, on the other hand, are online magazines that aim to guide youngsters in education, career, and life. Before we start, I would like to invite each speaker to introduce themselves.
I think I'll start. My name is Pudin. Well, my name's not Pudin. My name's Sharafuddin Kaus. I was from MCKK and I'm currently doing my ADTP program at INTEC Education College in Shah. It's a very good college. What else? I'm a Mara scholar and I woke up with a pimple problem today, so I hope you guys don't mind the bit of Zoom filters I put on. I hope it's not obvious though.
Hi, Sharafuddin. No worries, it isn't obvious at all. It's nice to meet you, and I hope you will give a few tips, and will be a good takeaway for each and every pre-SPM leaver today. Can we have Lorraine to introduce herself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Lorraine. I'm from Subang and I'm an alumni of SMK USJ 12. I'm currently in my last semester of Foundation in Arts in Taylor's College as a prerequisite for a psychology degree. And I'm not on any scholarships at the moment, but hopefully in the future.
Hi, Lorraine. It's nice to meet you. And we also hope there will be scholarships for you in the future. Next, we could have Haziq.
Hi, everyone. My name is Wan Haziq. You can call me Haziq. I'm from Johor, SMK Bandar Putra, and I'm currently at IB MCKK taking the IB diploma program. And I'm a JPA scholar, so I hope we have a good session today.
Thank you, Haziq. I also hope we have a good session today. And last but definitely not least, Syabil.
Hi, my name is Syabil. You can just refer me as Syabil. I'm from Putrajaya in Selangor. I'm currently studying at KYUEM under Bank Negara Malaysia Scholarship, taking A levels. And sorry I'm having COVID right now, so my voice might be a little weird. So I hope it goes well for you over you too.
Thank you, Syabil. I hope your COVID isn't too bad, and I hope you overcome it soon. Thank you everyone for introducing yourselves. For your information, we will be having a question and answer session at the end of today's talk. But before we get into the talk, do follow BASE Initiative on their Instagram channel at base.initiative to get more updates and information on scholarships, college applications, and more. I'd also like to invite each and every one of you to follow the Get There Telegram and also Cemerlang's Telegram to get stories about education, career pathways, and inspirational stories. Head on to t.me/gthere.co. Dot is spelled DOT. And also Cemerlang's Telegram, which is t.me/Cemerlang, DOTORG. Without further ado, let's get right into our talk for today. So to our distinguished speakers, I think the most basic question that everyone wants to know is, why did you choose your selected course, and why did you choose this specific school to do it?
All right, I think I can start with that. After I received Bank Negara Malaysia Scholarship, actually we have the flexibility to choose pretty much every programs that are available for overseas studies. One of it is like IB program, A levels that I'm taking right now. You can also take ADP and also OSMET and SACE, which is an Australian program to go to Australia, of course. But I chose to take A level because I think it is the most renowned program aside with IB. And I think the duration of 2 years makes me have more time to find myself if maybe I can change my course in the future, so I'm not a bit too rushed. to fly overseas. Some other programs like OSMEC or even ADP, they only have 1 year duration of study as a pre-university course. And it's a bit rushed because you don't have much time to get involved with co-curricular activities. And I think I just need a bit more time to find myself. And I think that's for me at least.
I see. Yeah, I agree with that. I think the duration of A-levels being 2 years definitely is ample time for each and every person, especially if they don't really know exactly what they want to do. So it's good because it's a bit more laid out. So thank you, Syabil. Can we have anyone else to give their answer?
I can go. So yeah, for me, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do after SPM, but I did know that I had interest in a few things like event management, hospitality, psychology. So I did take note of all of these things when I went to look for a pre-uni program. And my education counselor actually recommended like these different options. And I think it's also really important to note that a lot of unis have the same program, but the subjects offered can be very different. So yeah, I actually went around, explored like Sunway Uni, Taylor's Uni, and all these different unis. And I realized that in Taylor's specifically, a lot of the electives offered were relevant to my interests. So in my case, there were a lot of electives that, yeah, like I mentioned, like event management, hospitality, stuff like that. So I felt like, oh, okay, great. This is good for me because I can try every single thing before I finally make my decision. And yeah, that was what really fueled my decision to go into foundation.
Thank you, Lorraine. I think what you said is absolutely true. Knowing your passion and interest, especially if you don't exactly know specifically what kind of job you'd like to do in the future. So knowing your passion and interest is definitely important. And I also agree with you exploring. That's something that's very useful, I think, especially these upcoming few days for the fellow SPM leavers, because most colleges are having their open day. So it's recommended that everyone, try and just explore to see exactly what you would like to do. So thank you so much, Lauren. Maybe next we could have Sharafuddin.
Yeah, sure. I was pretty much like Lorraine. After SPM, I didn't know what to do. I had zero ideas of where to go next. So I applied for UPU and such, and then I realized I had my preferences, and my preferences was that I really wanted to go overseas. I didn't care if it was UK or US or whatsoever, and I wanted a program which was not exam based, relatively speaking, of course. So that's why I picked ADTP, and also I wanted to run away from pure sciences subject. So that's why I entered social science mainly. I think that's about it. Yeah.
I see. Thank you, Sharafuddin. Especially for those people who don't want 100% A-levels based, exam based. Yeah, I think that's a very good way of answering. It's a very good, choice of you. Yeah. Thank you for that. And last but not least, Haziq.
I think I'm quite the same as Sharafuddin mentioned. Like I would like to escape the exam loop, right? Like IB, we have assessment based on not just based on your writing and your final examination. So I would like to take the different route, and I think the IBDP is a unique program where you can explore more, not just by writing on papers. So yeah.
Thank you, Haziq. That's definitely a very courageous option to go to because, IB, even though it's not 100% exam based, it's still very much difficult, right? But yeah, for people who don't really want to be solely based on your textbooks, IB is definitely like a very good course, I'd say. So thank you for that. Moving on to our next question. Can you explain about the benefits, the duration, and also the workload of each course?
I think I'll start. If it's regarding the workload of ADTP programs, I think I'd say it's moderate. It's not too much or too little. You have like, since it's not a very exam based, so ADTP is mainly divided how it's divided is 30% of it goes to your exams, your final exams and your middle year exams, and 70% of your marks will be based on your assignments, your quizzes, and such. So, because it's based on your assignment, so it's obvious that you'll have lots of work, but it's never burdensome, especially if you're the type of person who can manage your time well and can divide your tasks properly. Because mainly our assignments are all based on groups and there are no individual works. But there are some individual works, but they're never burdensome, yeah, to me. And what else the benefits? Yeah, I think the benefits of ADTP. It's of course you get to fly early, a bit early. I mean, comparing to A-level students and IBDP. But I think if it's regarding ADTP at INTEC, I think you have lots and lots of free time for you to focus on other things such as entering clubs. Because at INTEC I entered a few clubs, so I can focus on that as well. So it's not just studying 100%. You still can manage your time and spend your time elsewhere. Yeah.
I think it's great that you don't perceive ADTP as burdensome. That's definitely a very good way, like a very good perspective to take it in. And also, because it's not 100% exam based, there's a lot of time for you to be involved in extracurriculars. So that's definitely a benefit. Thank you, Sharafuddin. Next, maybe we could have Syabil.
Thank you, Harvynna. As opposed to IB program, ADP, and pretty much every other program there are, A-level is 100% exam based. So maybe it's not for everyone, but the benefits of it is it allows you to, I would say, have more flexibility on your time because you don't need to commit to group works. That may be good for some people, maybe a bad thing for some people. It depends on you. But I would say that you can perform at the end of the day, even if you are not really performing well in your group work, in your assignments. You can always have a last-minute clutch on your performance. And I think that reflects quite well on me too. Other than that, I would say A-level has 2 years of studies, which you can take your time a bit more rather than other programs. And you can choose your subject combination, which I like the most. You can, because there are quite a few subjects that are offered by, it depends on the universities, but for the first time, I can get to choose subjects that I really want to take. During high school, I don't have the flexibility to do that. And at A-levels, I'm taking economics and geography, which is 2 of my favorite subjects, which I never had taken back during my high school. So if you have different passion, maybe in English literature, what else? There may be law subject, politics subject, sociology subject I must offer in Taylor's college. You can do that. So I think that's a very beautiful thing to do, to pursue your passion instead of taking a subject that you feel like you have to do it. Because I really believe that learning is a passion, not an obligation. And as for the workload, I think because A-levels is just 100% exam based, you don't need to do anything until exam comes on. Of course, I'm not advising to do that, but yeah, you don't really have assignments that you feel obligated to do because it contributes to your final marks. And most teachers, maybe not most, but quite a plenty of teachers don't really give homeworks. Especially for my teachers, they give exercises, but they don't really check your homeworks or contribute to your marks. So if you prefer to study by your own instead of by guidelines that has been set by others, then it is a good thing.
I see. Thank you so much, Syabil, for the very detailed and detailed elaboration on A-levels. And I completely agree with what you say, because what differs from what Sharafuddin said is that because if some people they don't do well in their group assignments, like it's not the end of the world, because like you said, you can always have that last minute clutch to score in your exams. And also because just like what you said, you could focus more on the subjects that you particularly have interest in, because it's a more minimum amount of subjects. So it's definitely good for people who probably are a bit more aware of what they would like to do in the future, I would say. So yeah, thank you, Syabil. Next, maybe we could have Haziq.
For IB, let's be honest, it's a burden because you have to take six subjects, and then in addition to that six subjects, you have to take TOK, EEs, and CAS. So basically, you have no time to relax. And for those six subjects, you have IAs, and you have to complete your EE, which is extended essay. And in TOK, theory of knowledge, you also have essays. And I had this, like, I call it failure in semester one. I could not manage my time properly to do to study or to complete my essays. So it's really a burden. And but for the benefits, don't worry. It's accepted in almost 150 countries, and it is accepted in the famous UK and US, which I think you guys would want to go, right? So don't worry. And basically in IB, the benefits, you have CAS, which stands for creativity, activity, and service. And CAS is for you to learn something new, learn something that you have never even touched before. For example, last week, one of my friends did the batik project, and I didn't even touch batik last time. So it enables me to get into some areas that I haven't even been there before. So that's the benefit of IB, and it develops you to become a well-rounded person, basically. And the duration for IB is 2 years. I think that's all.
Haziq, can we know more about TOK?
Oh, TOK stands for Theory of Knowledge, and basically it teaches you not to take things at face value, but you need to learn the process from where the knowledge is produced, the produce of knowledge, and then you have to go through a process or a flow towards the knowledge claim, and then you have to get it's complicated basically, and then you have to choose an object for essays, right? You have to choose an object, and you have to know the origin of the object. You have to know the effects of the object towards the knowers, like that, something like that.
I see. Thank you so much. I think as burdensome or as complicated as you say IB might be, it also helps someone become a bit more disciplined in managing your time. And like you said, you can also try new things. So that's definitely a very good benefit that comes from IB. So thank you, Haziq. And Lorraine?
Okay, so one of the prominent benefits of doing foundation is that you get to dip your toes in a plethora of subjects. So for example, for me, like foundation in arts, you can experience the range of art subjects like design basics, mass communication, hospitality, audiovisual production. There's just so many options that you can really kind of like try out. So it really allows you to gauge what you're interested in and hopefully have a better idea of what you'd like to pursue in the future. The duration is 1 year, so it's not that stressful. I think like it's short semester, so you don't have to carry so much knowledge in your brain. I think it gets tiring after a while, especially coming up from like 11 years of like primary and secondary school. Yeah, in terms of workload and like the structure, my course is 60% assignments, 40% exams. However, because of the electives I chose, it's pretty much 90% assignment based. So if you're really somebody who prefers more hands-on work compared to having to memorize info like A-levels and all that, where you have to really like cram all your information, I think this is a good way to go. Yeah, like for me, it's just so fun for me. Like I cannot like recommend foundation like enough, because it kind of pushes you out of your comfort zone. Like before joining, I never thought that I'd be doing this and that. and suddenly I'm doing everything. So I feel like it really benefits your knowledge overall. And yeah.
Wow, that's really, really great. You really seem really happy with what you're doing. And I think that's great. That's what everyone aims to have in the future, right? Just to be happy with what they're doing. And definitely, like what you said, there are so many things which you didn't know you could do or you didn't know existed in the first place, but now you get to try a lot of different things. And I think that's a very, very good benefit that comes out of foundation. So thank you so much for sharing. Moving on to our next question. Can you briefly explain what type of person is most suited for each course or program?
I think I'll start. I think the most suited person to take IB is the one who is first hardworking, because you need to prepare for your exams, and then you need to complete assignment at the same time. And then you'll be someone who is innovative, because in IB you would have IAs. IAs stand for internal assessments for each subjects, and this internal assessments is kind of a research based, and you need to conduct a research that is not ambiguous in the society. You need to conduct a new research, so you need to think out of the box, find a new idea. So, and lastly, the person who is who prioritize time, who think like time is gold, and I would not waste a minute in my life like that. I think that's all.
Wow, that's great. So IB is definitely for the more disciplined and hardworking people. But like you said, it also helps you learn a lot of things, and it helps you find yourself better and become a more disciplined person. So that's great. Thank you, Haziq. Maybe Sharafuddin, you can answer next.
Right, sure. So I think ADP and IBDP is like pretty much nearly the same, but ADTP is a bit less stressful and a bit less strict in terms of time management and stuff. Because I'm not gonna act like I'm the most disciplined student in the world right now. I'm not. I'm quite lazy when it comes to like time management, but I can manage time. So I think what's important for those of you who's looking forward to taking ADTP is that at the very least you know what to prioritize. You don't have to manage your time all the time. You don't have to have daily timetables. I don't, and I don't want to have any. Since like ADTP is more to assignments and courseworks, so I think yeah, you have to be very, very hardworking. You have to be very, very consistent. But don't worry, it's never burdensome, like I said before. And I think what I like about EDTP is that consistency is a huge factor when it comes to your overall grade. So it just doesn't it doesn't just depend on your final exams. So if you cock up your final exam, it won't actually drag your GPA fully. And I think one more important factor of being an ADP student is that you must have good communication skills, because ADP courseworks at INTEC mainly prioritize on the way there's a course I had to take last year. I had to take this last sem, which is mainly on your speaking side, and you have to give speeches to the public and stuff. So yeah, I think communication skill is one of the attributes you have to have already before entering ADP. Yeah.
Thank you, Sharafuddin. I think, in my opinion, each and every value that has come out of what you just said just now, for example, consistency, time management, and also having good communication skills, is all really important in the work life in the future. So it seems like it's definitely beneficial for like our future also. So thank you. Next, maybe we could have Syabil.
Yeah, thank you, Harvynna. Second. I think type of person, maybe I gave a false impression when I said that the workload on A levels is very light, but actually, at least in my college, everyone there, every single one of them is very hardworking, because they always struggle and they always strive for good grades, even though it's not the final exam that actually will determine their grades that they are applying to university, but they still are very hardworking. The difference is you may see, it's either you see them hardworking or you don't see them being hardworking, but either way, they are very hardworking. But I think the type of person that will fit the most in this program, A-level program, is the ones that are very comfortable with SPM format and maybe even IGCSE format, because they are 100% exam based and you can always learn by the books instead of having to do independent work outside of the syllabus. Other than that, I think you also need a very disciplined set of timetable. Well, you don't need to, but you have to be consistent in learning the subjects that you are taking, because especially at college, you are not bound to rules. You're not bound to the timing that the class you're gonna attend. Even if you don't attend the classes, you don't have the repercussions as strict as when you were at high school. So it really depends on you to have a very good discipline, so you will be performing well.
Yeah, I think that from what you said, something that each and every one of you should take back for the SPM leavers is, like what Syabil said, if you are comfortable with the SPM and IGCSE format, which is 100% exam based, and that's something which you want to do or you're comfortable with, then yeah, maybe A levels is the right one for you. I think Syabil, everyone has been talking about being hardworking and having discipline. So I guess that's for every single course and every single program. So all of us need to, buck up in terms of that and become more hardworking and consistent, I would say. So thank you, Syabil. And last but not least, Lorraine.
Okay. Foundation, yeah, like I mentioned, because it's very it's more assignment based. It's definitely more for people who enjoy having or like doing more hands-on work. Yeah, also I think people who just like working in groups, because a lot of it, yeah, it's assignment based, right? So a lot of time we do big group assignments and stuff like that. What else? Yeah, I think in terms of like time management and like discipline, that's definitely a given. However, I think foundation is a bit more relaxed compared to like the heavier ones, like levels, for example. So it really depends on like what kind of student you are. Because for me, like I do not do well with exams at all. I cannot like sit down, like Sejarah was hell for me. I could not like sit, memorize everything, A to Z, 100 people's names. So this is very, very different compared to what you're used to in high school. This is pretty much the complete opposite. So if you did not like do well in examinations and stuff, like that's fine. Go into foundation, like chill, take your time, do it slowly. Yeah, and it'll be based on your own like skill instead of what you can retain. Yeah.
Thank you, Lorraine. I think that's really, really good advice, especially for people who, like you said, aren't maybe the most exam-oriented kind of people. Like, it doesn't mean that you aren't, good enough or anything. Like, there's a lot of, like what you said, hands-on and participating in group assignments and everything. Like, those are all also really beneficial, like activities and things, I would say. So, yeah, that's really good advice. Thank you. Moving on, because this since each and every one of you are from a different course and program, so can you explain what the college application process was like for your specific course?
For my course, I didn't do direct application process towards INTEC, but I did a bit of research because I was under Mara, right? So Mara did everything for me. But I did a bit of research. Mainly what you need before entering INTEC specifically for ADTP INTEC is 5 credits, which is 5C and above for SPM. And I think that's about it. The minimum requirements, and you have like you can choose on whether you want to do computer science or engineering oriented, or like I'm doing economics and finance oriented studies and courses. But if it was based on my experience, I mainly applied for Mara and Mara YTP, and then Mara did everything for me. And no, I'm already there.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Sharafuddin. Maybe next we could have Haziq, who's taking IB.
I think if your scholar is pretty much sought out for you, and I did a bit of research too. So if you want to apply to IB MCKK, then you would need 5 solid A's in your sciences and A minus in your languages, and then you'll get here. And then for if you're not a scholar, then you can check out MCKK's Facebook, and then there's a link for you to click there, and then they'll guide you from there. So I think that's all.
All right. Thank you, Haziq. Maybe next we could have Syabil doing A-levels.
Same as Putin and also Haziq. Banegara sorted out everything for me, and KYUEM only sent out a little form for me to fill in, and that's about it. Just my details and my pictures and all. But in terms of the requirement, they didn't specifically mention the SPM grades that you are required to have. But I'm pretty sure it's very filtered, as most, if not all, of KY students in my college are highly successful in their SPM or IGCSE results. But in terms of the process, I don't think it takes a lot of workload to do it. You can just apply, maybe do a little bit of research on college and background, and you'll be there in no time.
All right. Thank you, Syabil. That's definitely very, very good advice. And Lorraine?
Okay, so I'm not on scholarship, so I had to do it. But the process was still very, very, very easy for me. What you really have to do is just go to the campus and just speak to an education counselor. I would advise going like physically to the campus to apply compared to doing it online, because you can just get everything sorted out within that day itself. So yeah, what I did was I spoke to my counselor, decided on a program, then filled out on my form with my details. And if you're eligible for bursaries, which are basically discounts based on the number of A's you receive, they will also provide a form for that. Usually your education counselor will just let you know that, okay, hey, you're eligible for this much, this much. I think for a lot of programs, especially foundation, the minimum requirement is 5 credits as well, similar to ADP. However, I think if you do science and stuff, maybe there's like they're more particular about maybe like your science and maths. But yeah, so I think so long as you have 5 C's and I think you pass English, like as long as you pass like specific subjects, if I'm not wrong, it's English, then you're good to go.
Right. So make sure to see your counselor and to go to your campus and to just apply there. And then for those, who are under scholarships, as you guys said, the scholarship body will mostly do like the groundwork for you. But I think since a lot of us are now applying for scholarships, what is the scholarship process? Since, there are a lot of things to fill up, and then there's like essays and interviews. So how did you nail your scholarship process, your scholarship application?
I guess I will start first with my scholarship experience. I applied to pretty much every scholarships there is. Bank Negara, YTP Mara, JPA, but I ended up only getting JPA, JPA Mara, same like Haziq, and also Bank Negara Malaysia. And at the end, I chose Bank Negara Malaysia. But the process is quite daunting, especially because you only have a very few amount of weeks doing a lot of work, writing essays, preparing documents to apply for, and also preparing interview process. It can be very tiring, and it was for me, and I'm sure for everyone else too. I will only specify for Banigara, since I'm a scholar, that you have to do an essay. This year you have to write a 600-word essay, and then they will give you a prompt on what to write. Then you have to wait around 1 or 2 weeks before getting accepted into the interview process. And the interview process consists of 2 components. The first one is group interview, and the second one is individual interview. And this year, they're very lucky and fortunate because this year they're going to the Bank Negara Malaysia headquarters to actually have the interview physically, as opposed to me and my batchmates last year. We have to do it online. And yeah, you will have the opportunity to be working on a case study alongside your group mates. And during the individual interview, you will be asked a mixture of personal questions like your experience and all, and also a bit of factual questions like your career, or your maybe about Bank Negara itself. So you have to be prepared on this. I think that's all.
Thank you, Syabil. I think for the interview process, like the most important thing, as you said, is just coming slightly prepared, right, with factual information or current news, things like that. Yeah, so thank you. Haziq, maybe how about you?
For JPA, there are like 3 stages you will need to go through. First, of course, the application process, and then the second one is the video session. I think you need to make a video about yourself, and then there's a basically script yourself, and then talk in that video, record yourself, talk about yourself, and then your aspiration in 10 years, I think. And then if you pass, and then you will go to the interviews. The interviews, there's two part of it. The first part is in Malay, and the second part is in English. So make sure you master both of these languages. And then basically for the interview, be confident in yourself and be yourself. And then know about the global knowledge, IR 4.0, the Internet of Things, and then maybe the Sapura energy case, I think. Yeah.
All right. This is a question that any one of you can answer before I ask Sharafuddin for his scholarship process. But I was just wondering, when you were applying, did you get help or did you seek advice from maybe your school teachers or your counselors or anything? Or did you do it all by yourself?
I think the application process is mainly when you fill out the forms, it's a bit different from previous years. So at that part, I had to do everything by myself, and I did alongside my friends. But if it was the case of like Kazana, where you had to write essays and stuff, I think I referred to my teacher and in doing these essays because I wanted to make it perfect, you know.
Right, thank you. Now maybe you can help explain about your scholarship application process.
All right. When I was applying for scholarships, I wanted to apply to every scholarship there is, but I couldn't because mainly my SPM, I got straight A's, 9A, but there are big scholarships such as I could remember with Shell and maybe Yayasan UEM. They wanted A solids minimum. So, but I had like 2A minus, so I couldn't apply to both of these. So I think that's an important factor to keep in mind. And GPA, I applied for GPA as well, and I got GPA, and I pretty much went through the same process as Haziq did. I had to do a video, which was I had to like make a script for it. It was very rigid and somewhat funny. And then and then I think what's important most in an interview is that you have to be different. You have to be lively because there are like especially for GPA and Mara, there are like, thousands, maybe tens of thousands of applicants applying for these scholarships. So what differs you from another scholarship another person is your personality. So you just can't be rigid and be boring. You just have to find a sort of way to like impress these interviewers. And with regarding Mara punya scholarship was like you had to fill out a few forms and pick your programs, and then that's it. In a few weeks they'll tell you whether you got the scholarship or not. So yeah, that's about it.
Thank you. Speaking of being different and standing out during your interviews, this is a question for everyone. Are there any specific skills, achievements, or personality traits that one should exhibit in either the writing part or also during the interviews to have higher chances in getting accepted?
Maybe I can start with this. So since for Bank Negara you have to write an essay, 600 words to be exact. Sorry. In my essay, I did outline a few of my achievements, but I did not outline many of it. Only outline one or two of it, because I believe that it's about the quality of your achievements instead of quantity. So it's on how you reflect yourself from the experience that you get from getting the achievements. For example, if you get accepted, sorry, not accepted, maybe like you represent Malaysia to an international competition or something. It's not the achievement of going international, but it's the experience on how you learn from your experience going overseas, having experienced the event itself by yourself, and how you learn from it, because that really showcase your potential ability to learn in the future. And not just for scholarships, actually for for employers too, and even for college, they want to know that you are able to learn in the future, not just your current achievements, but your potential achievements as well. So this is very important, because they are investing in you, especially for scholarships. They are investing in the future you, and they are investing in you. So they want a guaranteed success for you in life. So that is for the essay part at least. And the same goes for scholarship, for interview process as well. You can do the same, but since I had gone through the group interviews, it is a bit different. You cannot showcase your achievements and your experience because it will like overshadow other people there. But instead, what's most important to do in a group interview is to give opportunities to other people to showcase their talent as well. So for example, maybe in a group interview, because we had to do a case study back then, what I did and what some of my group mates did is by asking opinions on how to contribute to the discussion. Some of them give their opinions, but you can just add up to your opinions, so making their opinions more valuable, at the same time having contributed to the discussion as well.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Syabil. So for the essay part, I think what you said, the key takeaways would be what's most important to highlight, right? Not the going to certain place or the experience, but the values that we get from it, right? And then for interview, what I've gotten from what you said is that just asking for opinions of other people and just trying to be participative is what's most important, because it shows that you're a good team worker, and that's something that most people or scholarship bodies would like to see in their scholars. So thank you so much. Next, maybe we could have Haziq.
I think to add up to what Syabil said, make your answer specific. If they ask you about Milo, talk about Nescafe or something, and then make eye contact and make sure your answers are on point. And then I think, make sure you relate back to giving back to your country, because that's all JPM is all about, right? Say let's say they ask you, what in 10 years what are you going to be? Okay, I'm going back to Malaysia, I'm going to work here, I'm going to give back to Malaysia, and then inshallah you'll get it.
All right, thank you, Haziq. So most importantly is to give back to your country and say you want to come back to Malaysia. And also, like what you said, just get straight to the point. Don't really beat around the bush too much, right? Just go straight into what the question is asking. Thank you. Maybe Lorraine next.
Okay, I don't really know from a scholarship interview standpoint, but for just interviews in general, I think confidence is is just key, you know. If you go in and you're like hunched, if you go in and you're like stuttering, you're not prepared, then that just does not leave a good impression. Like I think it was Syabil that mentioned that they are investing in you, you know. So make it worthwhile, make it worth their time. Like imagine you interviewing yourself. Would you hire yourself, you know? So yeah, be prepared as well. Just kind of like go through like typical questions like what are your strengths and your weaknesses? I feel like that's a very common question. So yeah, really think about it, put a lot of thought into it. And I think breathe. Like just calm down. It's okay to like take your time as long as you're not like spilling out all your information. You know, just chill. Because you only have one chance. Like, okay, when you say it, it sounds very stressful, like, oh, only got one chance. But this is your chance to really make it right. Like, this is the time where it counts. You know, rehearse it like 1,000 times in your head before you go, but make this one count, you know? So yeah, also just kind of like enjoy the process, I guess, because yeah, it may be daunting, but at the end of the day, if you do get it, great, you know, that's wonderful, like you deserve it. But if you don't, then just take it with a grain of salt, you know, take it like a stepping stone to a better opportunity in the future. Because maybe now for this small interview, I may not get it because I'm kind of nervous, I'm unprepared. But take that and going forward to your next interview, be okay, I was nervous and I was like hunched, I was unprepared last time. So this time I'm gonna like, you know, do my best. Yeah. So just don't beat yourself up if you do not get it. Because realistically, everybody is better than somebody. You are better than somebody, you know? So yeah, just make the best out of it and really kind of take it as a lesson each time to make yourself better. Like just make personal improvements along the way. Yeah, that's the best advice that I can give regarding interviews.
I think that's really, really great advice. I love how you mentioned, if you were the interviewer, would you hire yourself? That's like a really good way to look at it, because like that's a really good way to prepare too. Yeah, and also being calm, but also being prepared, just being a candidate worth remembering. I think that's really, really good advice. So thank you so much. And Sharafuddin?
Yeah. So if it was regarding when you write your essays, I think what's important most is you have to be somewhat realistic, be less childish, and answer straight to the point. You know, when like let's say there's a question that asks you, describe a tragic that has happened in your life. Make it something specific and something different. Don't just say like, oh, there was one time I went to Ipoh and my car broke down, so we had to walk from Ipoh to KL all the way. So that's a bit unrealistic, although it sounds like, although it shows that you're a hardworking person, you don't give up and stuff, but that's not what people want. It's fairly unrealistic, and don't do that. So if like, let's say if they ask what tragic had happened to you, answer the question, make it sound realistic, and only then you slide in a bit of flexes. You have your achievements and stuff. Don't just go directly and say, oh, I was a head boy of my school, so the tragic was I didn't know how to lead. That is unrealistic, right? So like I think that's an important factor. If it was regarding interviews, I think you mainly have to be you have to already have some sort of knowledge regarding the organization you're applying your scholarship for. So when I went to interview for JPA, there was one student. I don't remember what her name was. Someone asked what who was the prime minister at that time, and she couldn't answer. So you can't do that. You must have at least some sort of knowledge, not like detailed knowledge. Just like before you go to the scholarship interviews, just read the main pages of the website. If you're applying for SPAN, if you're applying for Khazanah, just do your bit of research before going into these interviews. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. About the essay being realistic, I think that's really good advice. I have had a friend who once wrote in his English essay about the time he swam from Malaysia to Russia. So that's definitely unrealistic. And yeah, I agree. Just getting I mean, it's supposed to be something that's believable, right? So yeah, thank you. And for the interview session, basically all four speakers have talked about coming in at least a bit prepared, knowing what the interview is about, or like under what company it's for, be it like Shell, Petronas. You have to know just general issues about that, having general knowledge. So yeah, I think that's very, very good advice. So thank you to everyone. Moving on, this is a more personal question for the speakers. Can you describe your life in your individual colleges, the quality of teaching, the extracurriculars, the facilities, etc.?
Uh, all right, I'll start. So if it was regarding my life at college, I think I'd say it's pretty much very, very fun. I have like zero stress. I'm currently arguably the happiest person on earth, because like I have like I said, ADTP wasn't burdensome. So it's not burdensome. So you have like moderate amount of work, which like at the same time when you feel relaxed, it also pushes you to like not be too relaxed, and you still keep on track of what you're doing. The quality of teaching and INTEC is, I may be a bit biased, but I'd say it's tip top. Yeah, it's okay. The lecturers are very, very happy to confide with the students. They are very, very well spirited when they teach as well, not just like coming into classes just to fill in their paychecks and do their duties and such. So, what else was there?
The extracurriculars and the facilities.
Oh yeah, facilities at INTEC, that part is a bit downsided. So INTEC, especially when comparing INTEC to like Taylor's or Sunway or KYUEM, I think the facilities are like pretty bad. They have facilities, but they're not well maintained. So yeah, I think, but as a student, I think you have to, if it was based on me, I think we have to care less on the facility. It is important, but it's not the main priority when we go to study. Yeah. Extracurricular activities. I say clubs are a bit active, but if you're looking to like go to like universities or colleges and be fully endorsed in clubs, I think INTEC is not the place for you. I think you should go to other colleges, maybe Sunway or Taylor's have better clubs there. Yeah, I think that's about it.
You've honestly sold ADP to me, like you being the happiest person on this planet and everything. Like that's just, it's really, really great. It's definitely something that all of us want to achieve, happiness. Yeah, talking about the facilities, even though it might not be, to the best, like I guess it's a a bullet we have to bite, because the quality of teaching, like you say, is really, really good, because the tip top and everything. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I think although it's bad, it's still better than most SBPs. I think most of us come from SBPs, right? Malaysian asrama semua. So it's at least better than them.
Okay, so let's take back the part about the facilities being bad. Let's just say it's good, right? Okay. Yeah, so thank you. Next, maybe we could have Lorraine.
Okay, life in college, we're still on hybrid mode where lectures are online and tutorials, which are basically classes with smaller groups, are physical. So it's not really tiring because, on Mondays I have 2 lectures, so I can like stay home, sleep until like 8:50 and then get up for like 7:50 and then get up for my 8 o'clock lecture. it's like having to rush back and forth, so it's still pretty chill. But at the same time, there are more and more people coming back on campus. In fact, I'm on campus right now, so it's very nice to just be able to kind of move away from like my desk. It just gives you a very fresh like environment. And yeah, just having friends around is also always a good thing. In terms of quality of teaching, it's quite a common thing to hear about student-based learning here in Taylor's. So it's basically where students are given the opportunity to take charge of their learning. So compared to like typical high school, like day-to-day life where the teacher stands there and she's just talking the entire time. With that being said, I say that the quality of teaching here is pretty good because it kind of pushes you to be engaged throughout. Also, I've had the privilege to cross paths with one of the like most dedicated lecturers. So one of my lecturers here really puts a heart into teaching. Like I really have to like salute her on that. Because she really puts her heart into preparing materials and just building relationships with her students. So just to ensure that none of us are falling behind, and so I feel like that really inevitably also contributes to the quality of learning. And in terms of extracurriculars and facilities, sorry, Sharafuddin mentioned like Taylor's like extracurriculars and facilities is better. We have about 70 clubs and societies here. I think it's still on the rise, but yeah, that's just a myriad of options. So there's like student bodies, sports clubs, non-sports clubs. We have like an anime club. We have K Generation, which is like a club dedicated to all things K-pop. We also have a barista club. So it's kind of like everything, Facilities, I think it's all right. I think it can be better, especially if you're comparing it to like Sunway, for example. But like Sharafuddin mentioned, I don't think it's that big of a deal because I think what really matters, one, is the quality of teaching, and two, just how your day-to-day life in college goes in general. But yeah, the facilities are still okay lah. It's not like unusable or whatever. Like they're still good. Like we still have like sports center, swimming pool, super big lake with ducks. And yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Speaking about the over 70 clubs, that's crazy, and it's something that would definitely intrigue a lot of people. And about how you talked about student-based learning too, I think that's a really, really good way for students to also like step up. And because it's also, it comes without saying that when we teach, we also learn, right? So that's a very good way of also learning. So yeah, that seems definitely very interesting and definitely very, very beneficial. So thank you, Lorraine. Next, either IB or A levels boys. Maybe we.
I think outside. I think about IB MCKK, I think pretty much what I'm going to say, Sharafuddin have gone through because he's an alumni. There are rules that we need to follow, but not as rigid as them. We have, we can go outing. So if you're stressed out with your work, you can go grab a cup of coffee. There's a Zeus coffee just open, and then you don't have to wear baju Melayu for dinner, like they wear. And then the quality of teaching is super, very good, because take note that in IBM CDK, you would have only like almost 30 students. So less students means less work for your teachers. And then your teachers would focus more on you, and you would have more consultation, more supervising with them. And then the facilities, as Sharafuddin, the facilities are quite downside. But the swimming pool is under renovation. And then for extracurriculars, we need to join the high school students. For example, next week we have to join the cross country, which I don't want to join. And then, but I think that's all.
Okay, thank you, Haziq. Good luck in your cross country. I hope you feel like joining later. But speaking of the quality of teaching, like you saying it's superb, that's really, really good. And it's like really good for people, because, and like you said, there are really little people. So the less amount of people, the easier it is for teachers to focus on you, especially because IB is such a difficult course, I would say. So having teachers focusing on you is definitely really important. So thank you. And last but not least, Syabil.
Right, thank you, Harvynna. It's just really fun that I can relate with all of you guys too. In KYUEM, I think I'm having the best time of my life to put in, but I'm not happy all the time. Of course, it's not that I have zero stress. I have a bit of stress, not just because of relationships, because of teachers, because of grades, but plenty of other stuff too. But I think most of that is reduced because of the people around me. KYUM is a boarding college, so you basically cannot go out, and it is basically in the middle of a jungle at Lembah Beringin. I bet you never heard of that place. It is like between the border of Selangor and Perak. And it's quite isolated from every other place, so you cannot order pretty much anything. And even if you do, you have to pay like 10 ringgit delivery fee, which is a bit expensive as compared to when you order it in KL. And you can only order it once per day. Apart from that, I think, yeah, there are a few problems too in my life at KY, but people say from damage comes wisdom. You learn from the problems that you had, and you learn from it, and you bounce back. And I think that helps me by having a good emotional support by my friends. Apart from that, the quality of teaching there, I think the teachers there are very dedicated to teaching. It's just that maybe their way or their methods of teaching, their pedagogy, is not does not fit everyone, because a few teachers, they really like to do interactive sessions. They like to ask questions on their students. They like to ask their opinions, but some really just lecturing and talk non-stop. It's just them, and the students had no voice, basically. Which I don't like. I like more interactive sessions. But when you ask them questions, they are really dedicated, and they like put in psychology. They don't just work for their paychecks. They're really dedicated in teaching. Other than that, extracurriculars, I think at my college, KYUM, is basically like high school. You have sports carnival, you have academic week, but it is more committed, since people there they are willing to invest more at the college. I don't know why. Why they are more enthusiastic in participating at the programs and the events. And as for the facilities, I think when I first come to the college, I thought like KY is some sort of a pretty, how would I say this, a 5-star resort hotel, because of the accommodation. You can just search up the accommodation. We even call them either villa or chalet. Even the names, you only hear it when you're going to book a hotel again. This year I'm going to stay at villa, and next year I'm going to chalet. And the accommodation is fully complete with air conditioner, with your own room, and also with hot shower. But right now I'm even complaining for a very little difficulties I had. Oh, why my hot shower is broken, right? But yeah, it is very great, and I really like, because you have pretty much all sport facilities there. I even learned to play squash, which I just found that it is my type of sports. And for the first time, I played more badminton. I played football. Even during my high school, I didn't get the chance to play them as much, and I really enjoyed it here.
Thank you, Syabil. I can definitely relate to the part about not being able to order food or going out because your school's in the middle of a jungle. I'm from KYS, Kolej Yayasan Saad, which is also a school that's sort of in the middle of the jungle. But I guess like what you said, it's a sacrifice you have to make because of the benefits that comes with the school, like the quality of teaching and the extracurriculars, and like being surrounded with really good people, especially because KYUEM is a boarding school, which means that being surrounded by people who work hard will also motivate you to work hard. And yeah, I guess that's a really good benefit. I have a question for you. What's your favorite event in KYUEM?
That's a bit hard to answer because on my first year we are not able to participate in all the events that we used to prior to COVID. But so far, I would say it is the sports carnival because I always love sports, but I'm not participative in sports. I just watch people, my friends play sports, but for the first time, I actually participate in sports, playing football. So, wow, it is very, very, how would I say, it's a very good experience to be a part of the match, I'll say. And because everyone is, they chant and they cheers, and you get to be a part of the cheerleading team too. So it really bonds you with your friends and your house spirit especially.
I see, that's great. And it's really great that you got to try new sports and realize that you can actually do a different kind of sports, especially since you said that before this you weren't as participative in sports, but now you are. So that's really great. Thank you for sharing. Moving on, this is going to be more of advice to people, because there are some people who don't know what they want to do exactly, like whether it's A levels, foundation, IB, ADP, etc. So what is your advice to them? Or how did you know that the course you took was the right course for you?
I can go first. I think the biggest thing is don't rush to make a decision. It doesn't matter if your friend is going into January intake and you're planning to take a gap year, like we're all going to end up in the same place eventually. You're still going to end up in the workforce. You're still going to be like somebody somewhere. But it's really the journey you take that counts, because this is the time for you to really rack up like new skills, experiences, and all, like just kind of try different things. So if you rush yourself, I mean, if you rush and you force yourself to just like join some random program that you're unsure of and you regret it halfway, that's going to affect your future eventually, because what if you don't do well? Then it kind of cuts off a lot of like really big opportunities for you in the future. And it's also just going to completely kill your excitement of learning if you do not enjoy what it is that you're doing. So really sit down, like take time to consider what it is that you're interested in, do your research, get in contact with your seniors who are like doing the courses that you're interested in or that you're curious about, or just reach out to people in general. I'm pretty sure like for like unis, like different universities and stuff, they have like student forums or something like that. So yeah, just do your research and chill, because I think going into like tertiary education especially can be pretty pricey. So you don't really want to do it halfway and then quit and then pay that large sum of money again, or like get this good scholarship, go into a program that you're not confident in, and then lose your scholarship. So yeah, just chill.
I love how you mentioned that there really isn't that much of a rush, because at the end of the day, we're all going to end up at the same place, which is the workforce. And I think that's like, it's really good, advice, because a lot of people, I would say, are sort of rushing so everyone can go in the same batch as their friends and their peers and everyone else. But like you said, for people who really are unsure of what they want to do, like just take some time, sit down and do your research and reach out to people. So yeah, that's really good advice. Thank you. Maybe next we could have Haziq.
I think it's pretty much the same as Lauren mentioned. To go with your heart and know your capabilities. If you're someone that is good in terms of examination, then go with A level. But if you're quite good in examination, but you are good too in the external assessments, then go with IB or ADP or foundation. And if you like to try something new, it's up to you. But the most important thing is don't listen to what your parents, friends, or maybe your girlfriend said, because at the end of the day, you're the one who's going to face the obstacles, the difficulties of that course that you pick. So take your time, don't listen to them, and you'll pick the right course.
Thank you, Haziq. I completely agree with that. At the end of the day, it's our own self who'll be facing these challenges. So, like you said, just do what you think is best for you and not really listen too much to what other people have to say about what you should do. Yes, that's also really good advice. Thanks so much, Haziq. Syabil, maybe you could go next.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. My advice would be know yourself and know your objectives. Since your program will pretty much dictate what subjects are you going to learn and how you are going to learn the subjects. It's very important for you to know your objectives in the future. If you want to have a more relaxed path, then maybe take A levels. If you want to get it faster, or maybe you want to garner the most out of your program, then maybe take IB, where you can learn a lot of interesting things. Or even for ADP, maybe you want to learn more overseas at the States. Maybe you can fly earlier there, so you can have experience more over there instead of in Malaysia. And also for foundation, because it's just for 1 year, maybe you can go more quicker into the university. But it really depends on you and on your objectives. If you want to take gap year, that's fine as well. There's nothing bad about taking a gap year if you really think that it suits you. Then I would say know which type of person you are, because different program has different format. Just like Haziq said just now, if you are more exam-based person, you can take A levels. If you are not, you can take ADP or foundation or IB. I think, yeah, everyone was already mentioned a pretty good point. I have left with nothing else.
All right, thank you, Syabil. Knowing your objectives, I think that's very, very important. And you already gave really good advice and detailed advice to people of deciding what they want to do and what interests them and what course would then be best suited to them. So that's really good advice. Thank you, Syabil. Last but not least, Sharafuddin.
I think I speak for most of us. I think we all went through this point or phase of life where we don't know what goes next after SPM. So even my sister, she just finished her SPM and she doesn't know what to do. One thing I always tell her is that, of course, I went through this. I didn't know what to do after SPM, but what I know was my preferences. So basically, if you take pure sciences subject and you don't like bio, don't go ahead and take medic. Or if you like maths, you can continue a degree in maths whatsoever. And yep, and that there's no rush. There's always opportunities out there, so you just have to seek them. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Knowing your preference is also knowing your preference, knowing what interests you, your passion. Those are all really good. It's really good advice for those who don't really know exactly what they want to do. So thank you. And now, since we've gotten a bit more into the deep, more emotional side, we're going to go ahead with a question, which is, what has been the biggest challenge for you during your program and how did you overcome it?
Yeah, I can get started with. Sorry, I think you want to start. Okay, thank you. I'm sorry for interrupting that. I can start with A levels first. I would say at first it's pretty heavy because you only learn 4 subjects or 3 subjects in some people's cases. So that means you have to learn a lot. during SPM you have to take 9 subjects or 10 or less, which means how do I say, the proportion of what you need to learn is less. But for A levels, you only have to learn 4 subjects. And because my intake was pretty late, because of the scholarship process having a bit later, so I have to catch up with other people as well, and having to catch up with 2 months of studying, with just right after when I got into the college. 2 weeks after that, I have to do a practice test, a progress test actually, and I have to do a lot of catching up. Yeah, I was just repeating that. But I would say, even though your final grades will only be determined on your final exam, it is quite, how would I say this? It's quite overwhelming because knowing that people around you are also capable, even more capable than you are, especially at my college, which is a very competitive college, in fact. You always have that sense of insecurity that even though it's still far, the duration for between you yourself in the present and also for the final exam is still far away. Still have that sense of, oh, I'm kind of left behind compared to others. They already finished the whole syllabus, but you still need to catching up with the first topic that you have learned since the start of the college. So I think, I'm not sure if this relates to the program A levels itself or more specifically with my college, but people taking A levels are usually more competitive, because it is a quite specialized set of program, and it can be quite hard. But one thing that you should know is people may start in different place. I always like to analogize that where you start, it's like an F1 race, maybe your SPM grades or your first exam grades is like a qualifying race. It determines where you are in the starting position. But even if you are at the first place, you can always get an accident and disqualified from the race. You can have a few bad turns and ending up further back than your original place. So there's always no guarantee that you will always be successful in your program, but there's always an opportunity for you to be better than you're present right now.
Yeah, thank you. That's really good advice for people who have maybe they've failed in certain things, but you can always just step back up, and it's not the end of the world because you can always do better. Also, I have a question for you since you are taking A levels. Correct me if I'm wrong, but there are 2 major exams, which is your AS and A2. So when in university, when you're applying for university, the situation where you didn't do as well in your AS, but you did well in A2, does that still affect your university application?
Well, that really depends on which university you're applying to. If you're applying to Australia, it is 100% depending on your AS plus A2 marks. But if you're applying to US and also the United Kingdom, it is pretty much determined by your AS, which is the first exam that you're going to take. Because and the A2 is just like a requirement that you need to pass. But when you're applying and when you want to apply, the grades that you're showing to the universities is the grades that you had for AS. So even though you have 2 years of study, the first year is very critical for you to get a university placement, and the second year is to secure that placement, I'll see.
I see. All right, thank you. Maybe we could have Sharafuddin to answer the challenge question.
Challenge.
Your biggest challenge and how do you overcome it?
All right. My biggest challenge was maybe restarting myself, trying to get to know new people at my new college, and trying to adapt myself into the college life. But thank God I had a few support systems alongside me in INTEC. I had my girlfriend there. Yeah. So like it was okay. I didn't, it wasn't a very significant problem, a significant challenge, but I think one of the biggest problems I had to go through when I was at INTEC, particularly in ADTP, was I had a phase of it was a month of like insecurity because I this was in the process of applying for universities. ADTP students have to apply for universities uh, after during the process of ADTP. So like Mara gave us a few sets of universities for us to apply on, and they were mainly like top universities. So like after the process of applying, it was like mainly it was only waiting for these universities to reply to us whether we get these offers or not. So I think that was a period of where I felt uh, the baddest. I felt the least motivated because I was scared I wasn't gonna get any university placement. So, but one thing I did to solve this problem was like to be more, I don't know, to be more closer to God. I think this was in my case. I become more spiritual. Uh, yeah, I think that was what I did when I felt that. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Thank you. So being closer to God, having people you can rely on, that's definitely a good way for you to overcome challenges or like, the feelings of being insecure and things like that. So yeah, thank you. Next, maybe you could have Lorraine.
Okay. I think one of the biggest challenges for me was um like group work. I know I said that foundation is a lot about group work. Like, okay, 90% of the time the group work is great, but unfortunately for this one specific um subject, we were randomly assigned into like a group. So Syabil used F1 analogy. In my case, it was the pit stop. That's the problem. So the whole team, no, horrible. So a lot of them were just not carrying their weight in the group, and it was a very big project. Um, Honestly, this is quite a common issue. I think when you go to like college in general, be it foundation or whatever, just sometimes, especially now that a lot of the things are online, um, some people just don't participate at all, or they just don't contribute, or I don't know, maybe something's going on behind the scenes, but yeah. So this one specific one, there was a lot of work, and yeah, it was just horrible. So how I overcame it, a lot of sleepless nights on like carrying the team, trying to like work with my one functioning group mate to really like pedal to the metal, essentially, like try to like get us across the finish line. It was horrible, but I think um it really improved my crisis management. Just like first of all, like panicking and then trying to calm down and then get the work done. Yeah, it does get really frustrating when you have to go through like things like that, when you just happen to work with like irresponsible people. So yeah, I think my biggest like takeaway from this was, one, how to be a better group mate, two, crisis management, and three, just learning to be self-sufficient in a sense. Like, okay, in the case where your group mate doesn't do this, you have to be the one to really pull through. You have to be the one that's like doing the work, because eventually you're still going to be graded as a whole. So if your teammate is not doing the work, you can't just be like, okay, let's just leave it empty. I'm going to complain to my lecturer and that's about it. Like, no, you're still going to be graded. Yes, you can still complain to your lecturer, but realistically, in tertiary education, you have to be you're kind of on your own sometimes. Like, you need to work out these kind of like kinks and stuff. So yeah, that was really hard for me, like in the beginning, but I think because this was in my first semester, so I think I've come a pretty long way. So eventually now, like thankfully, all the people in my group have been, doing their job. So yeah.
Yeah, that must have been really frustrating for you to endure. I guess the biggest takeaway is for everyone watching, for you to not be that kind of group mate, but instead to be a functioning group mate. So, you work together and the outcome will be a lot better. So yeah, thank you, Lorraine. Last but not least, Haziq.
I'll talk specifically about IB, I think. I had my biggest challenge when I was finding ideas for my IAs, for my internal assessments. It's like I have no idea about it. I have an ideas about something that I would like to do, but it was rejected by my teachers because it was like everywhere, the idea. And then it's like receiving a red card in a football match or receiving a DNF in Formula One. Your progression stops there, your studying time stops there, and then you have to spend all your time trying to find ideas for your IAs. So I think most of the challenge that IB students face is when completing their IAs. And what I did was like I reached out to my seniors, and then I thought that if they could do it, then why can't I? And maybe they have ideas that they is like a backup idea for them, and then maybe I can take the idea, right? So it's kind of like reach out for ideas, reach out for help. Don't go alone by yourself, and that's how I overcome it.
Yeah, that's very good advice to always reach out for help because you aren't alone. There will always be people who are there to help you. So that's really good advice. Thank you so much. The next question is, have there been any opportunities? What I mean by this is extracurriculars, like for example, being a project manager or founding a initiative or things like that. Any opportunities that have resulted from you taking this course or attending the colleges that you are attending?
I can go. Yeah, so I'm actually a part of a student body called Taylor's Orientation Leaders, which is pretty much what it sounds like. Like we do orientations and stuff. Yeah, I feel like it truly has expanded my knowledge on things like event management, sponsorship development, and also just enhanced a lot of my soft skills as well. But other than that, also this student body kind of encourages you to take on leadership roles later on. So like maybe head of department, head of sponsorship development, president, vice president, etc. And yeah, on a minor scale, I've been a class rep and group leader like countless of times throughout my program. So you gain a lot of experience when you take up these roles, like I mentioned, crisis management, being self-sufficient, stuff like that. So these will all really come in handy in the future, I feel. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Those are definitely a lot of positions and leadership qualities or opportunities that you could take on. So that's really excellent, especially for people who want to know how Taylor's is like in particular. So thank you. Anyone else?
I think I'll go here. Going to college, I think, like we said before, there's a lot of clubs where you can entertain yourself with, and in that there are a lot of positions where you can try to compete for. So if it's regarding getting positions and getting like ranks in clubs or whatsoever, I think you'll have no problem with that. Each and every single student will have equal opportunities regardless of what type of student you are. And it's not like high school where you have to really portray leadership skills in front of the teachers for you to become a prefect whatsoever. So in college, like myself, I entered a club, my volunteer, and I had to handle a few events. I think that's about it.
Okay. Yeah, it's great that everyone has equal opportunities and everyone has their own opportunity to step up and to become a leader. So that's really great. Thank you. Maybe Syabil could go next.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. It's different. It's quite different than high school, because in high school you don't really have the freedom of initiating a club or initiating a project. It will be quite hard to get approval from the administration, and because of the very strict timetable, you don't really have the time to do it as well. But for A levels, I think since you don't have that many of group works and assignments, after you ended your class, which is only around 5 to 6 hours per day, depending on how many subjects you take, you can pretty much administer anything else in your life. So in my case, I did join, I'm still in Econs Club, peer support group, as a vice president, and also as an academic at school of my house. So there are a lot of opportunities for me to handle events and also to work with my team that is related to the club. So it is a very eye-opening experience, because having to work with different kind of people, different set of abilities, really give a different perspective for me in life. But to highlight one of my, I'll say, position is, or a project that I've been involved with, I would say is, okay, maybe because I'm the vice president of peer support group, and we have planned quite a few number of projects that we will hold next semester, which I'm very excited for. I don't look excited because I'm in COVID right now, but yeah, I will be excited after I get recovered from this. But yeah, it is something that you don't really have the freedom to do while you're in college, because you can do a lot more stuff than in high school, because you can do a lot more stuff and you can have more independent without having to refer to your advisor as much.
I see. Okay. So it's a lot of being independent and stepping up and joining clubs and everything. Yeah, those are really great leadership opportunities. Thank you for sharing. Last but not least, Haziq.
For IB, you would have CAS. Like I mentioned before, creativity, activity, and service. So there are two parts of CAS, which is the CAS project and the CAS experience. So for CAS project, you need to handle a project. So basically, you are doing from A to Z the project. For example, I'm planning to make a collaboration with KYUEM for Sports Day, and then I would be the project manager for the Sports Day, the project. And then this would give more self-confidence for me. And then you have the opportunity to collaborate with other schools, for example, IBTKC, IBKMB, and other schools that take IB program. And basically, that's all I think.
Okay, that's a very, very big leadership opportunity. So that's something that's very, very beneficial, and it definitely will help you grow as a person and as a leader. So thank you. Final question. So this is, as someone who just finished SPM and is about to go to college myself, I would personally like to ask, what has been your most memorable part of college?
Harvynna. Oh, you just finished SPM, really?
Yeah.
Right. So I think there are no specifics on like which is the most memorable. But if you think high school is fun, I was from MCKK, so like I was like you can say I'm a hardcore fanboy. so MCKK was fun. So if you think MCKK was fun, if you think high school is fun, wait till you enter college, because there's like a whole lot more freedom to whatever you can do. So I think if that was what the most memorable memory when I was in college was when me and my friends went to KLA in the morning after Subuh, and like look at the plains and stuff when the sun was rising. So I think like that there's a whole lot more memorable things when in college. So I think it's totally something you should look forward to.
Okay. Suddenly I'm excited to go to college. But yeah, those sounds like experiences and memories that we would definitely like cherish for a very, very long time. So thank you. Anyone else like to share?
Yeah, sure. Okay, it's gonna sound so lame, but apart from expanding my network, I'd say my assignments made my experience truly memorable. Okay, see why I say it sounds lame, but hear me out. Okay, because I've had to plan, design, and build my own toy. Like, who would think to do that on a daily basis? Like, I'm not gonna be like, hey, I'm gonna build a toy today. Okay, and I don't know, if you do it, then you do you. I also had to create my own radio promotion, brand advertisement. I had to do a teaching simulation. Also, just tons of other things that I would not have imagined myself doing if it wasn't for college. So I'd say, like, don't be afraid to open yourself up to new opportunities. You know, yeah, like, if this thing sounds weird, like, or if you wouldn't think that you could do it well, so let's say like building a toy, like designing, because for me, like, I'm not entirely the best at designing, but because of my assignments, which pushes me to kind of do it, I'm like, wow, I kind of got skill, like. So yeah, for all you know, you'll find your hidden talent just doing these small things. Like, even Syabil mentioned that he's never played, what was it, squash, and then suddenly he's like super good at it. So just try different things, like be open to doing different things, and yeah, you'll eventually find something that you really like. And yeah, I feel like that really makes up the college experience. Also, just like the crazy friends that I have, like, I cannot imagine doing college without them. Like, the chaotic energy around me every day, like, it just makes like an 8 a.m. class fun, because imagine having to wake up at like 6, 7 to drive all the way to college, and you sit there and your lectures going on and on and on. So yeah, I think having good friends or just building meaningful relationships in college will make up your experience as a whole.
Yeah, I don't think what you said is lame at all. I think that trying new things and learning different skills is something that's really exciting, especially when you don't know that it's something that you could do before. So just learning, it's fun if you look at it like in that perspective. So that's definitely something that's very, very memorable. So thank you for sharing. Maybe Haziq could go next.
So the most memorable memory that I made here is basically in college you would meet people from different backgrounds, different schools, and some are from SBPs, MRSM, and some are from daily school like me. And I think that one day when we got our physics marks, and then it was quite bad, and then we decided to meet in the library and then discuss what our difficulties are. And then I think that part of discussion between us from different backgrounds to solve that problem is one part of the memorable thing that I believe is memorable. To help each other out, even though maybe someone's like not that selesa with that kind of thing, but they came to the library and helped us to achieve that solution to the problem. So I think that's the most memorable part.
Okay. Yeah, having good friends. I think all of you have talked about having good friends in general, and people who would help you, especially when you don't do so well in an exam. Like, people who will help bring you up. That's really important, and it's really great that you've made real friends and friends who would like help you. So thank you for sharing. Last but not least, Syabil.
Yeah, thank you, Harvynna. I think what would be the most memorable experience in my college life will be just recently, actually, around 1 week ago, end of sem performance, or end of sem concert. Actually, we have, because for the seniors, they are leaving. They actually, it was their last week at KY. So we had an event where they will perform. The juniors and also the seniors will perform a band or like singing, a theater, dance, and it was very, very, I would say energetic. And it was like nothing. I've never attended a concert before, so I don't know how it feels. But I think it will be one of the most memorable nights I've ever been. Even if I go to any other concerts, I will be as much as happy as I am at that time, because I was surrounded by my friends and my friends were performing. So you are more extra happy to see them as compared to other people performing, right? And actually, there's a band. One of my best friends is playing um, at the band for the band, and we actually also always jamming. During the nights. Sometimes when we had free weekend nights, we will just sing and he will play guitar together with a few other people, a few other my friends. So I think because KYUEM is a boarding college, you can pretty much know everyone there. You can choose to know everyone there. You can be friends with them. At the walkway, you can just greet them when you see them, and it's very comfortable to know that you are surrounded by people that you know. And I think that's one of the most beautiful thing in my college life.
Wow, that's really something that I think is a memory that you will cherish for the rest of your life. And for everyone, all of the speakers, you guys have, as arduous or as daunting the academic journey might be, like I feel like these memories, like the good parts of your college experience, is what makes it worthwhile. And that's definitely something that all of us can definitely take away. Like, as challenging or as difficult or as much as you feel like giving up, there will always be these moments or these experiences or having your friends to pull you back up. And I think that's really important. So thank you all so much for sharing. Now we're going to head on to the Q&A session. So we've got a question. Okay, this question is from Adam. He says, is it important to be humble, or is it okay to very proudly state your achievements and abilities? This might be maybe in your resume or interview or essay writing, I think.
Yeah, I think I can answer this question. Yes, it is important to be humble, but you don't have to be too humble. Just like I said earlier, you can state your achievements, you can state what positions you got, but the most important thing is to show what you learn from it. So when you do it that way, it does not show that you are showcasing your achievements, show that, oh, you are the best. But it shows that, indirectly shows that you are learning and there are still a lot more room for improvement in yourself. So yeah, even though you are stating your achievement, even though you are stating what you experienced there, but in a way, if you do tell them what you learn from it, it shows that you're not perfect. Nobody is, but you can be better. And I think that's a way that you should present yourself.
Okay, yeah, I think that's really good advice. Like, there's nothing wrong with stating your achievements, just like what we've talked about just now, talking about the key takeaways and the values that you learn from it. That's also really important. Thank you. Now we'll move on to our next question. This question is also for Syabil. It's, I do hear that A levels is more to like doing SPM again. Is it true?
To a certain extent, yes, because both of them are 100% exam based. But I would say what differs between them both is you can choose your subjects for A levels and you can drop them. You can change your subjects midway, but well, not too late. But you still have like 1 semester or even 2 semesters to change your subjects if you find that, okay, maybe this subject is not for me. I want to take other subjects. And because for SPM, I think for a certain subjects in A levels, you pretty much learning the same topics as you learn back in SPM. For example, in mathematics, the paper 1 is almost the same like at math paper if you take your math back in SPM. And there are a few essential topics that is the same as well. So I would not say it's 100% same, even though the format differs a bit, but it has the resemblance, I would say.
All right. So based on what you said, it's quite similar in the sense, but A levels is a bit more flexible, right? Where you can sort of pick and choose your subjects. Okay, thank you. Move on to our next question. It's, do we get to choose which path we will be taking if we go on scholarship?
Yes, you do. You get to choose what type of scholarships you want, and then in every scholarship there's like let's take JPA as an example. In JPA itself, there's scholarship for A-level students. They'll send you to KMS if I'm not mistaken. And then there are scholarships that will send you to do ADTP at INTEC, and so on and so forth. So in every scholarship giving bodies, there are like specifics to what they want their students and how they want their students to study. So like if you're looking forward to do A levels, there are a few scholarships that give you A levels, and then the same scholarship could also give you ADTP and whatsoever foundation as well.
All right. Okay, thank you. Our final question is also for you. It's, does ADP course last for 1 year or 2 years? And also, what is ADP and ADTP the same?
Yeah, ADTP and ADP is the same thing, and you can do 1 year or you can do 2 years. So ADTP, the whole picture of it is 4 year. It's a 4-year program, so you can either do 1 year at, let's say, INTEC or Taylor's, and then proceed or to finish the other 3 years as a degree student in your respective universities. So if I were to go to US, which I will be going, I'll do 1 year over here, 1 year over here, and 3 other years in my university in the US. That will already be my degree. So it's a really fast track program. But if you're wanting to continue your degree in local universities here in Malaysia, you need 2 years of ADTP studies in your respective colleges. Only then you get to go to like UTP and whatsoever.
Yeah, I think that already perfectly sums up the question and answers the question. So with that being said, that's the end of our Q&A session. And this also marks the end of our webinar today. I'd like to say a huge thank you to the speakers for taking the time out of your busy days to join us. Thank you so much to the audience for spending your weekend with us. Also, do follow BASE Initiative on your Instagram channel at base.initiative to get more updates and information on scholarships, college applications, and more. I'd also like to invite you to follow the Get There Telegram and also Cemerlang's Telegram to get stories about education, career pathways, and also inspirational stories. Head on to t.me/gthere, DOT and also t.me/Cemerlang, DOTORG, and follow them. So with that being said, thank you so much, everyone. And I hope all of you have a great day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.